Comic book and manga fans, this is H.H. German from Sigma Comics, back again with another video for you. This time we're going to look into what I've got on my nightstand there on the table, what I'm reading, and we're going to jump into that right now. Before we do, I'm going to tell you who we are. Sigma Comics. We are dedicated to the fight against animal cruelty with our character, the Calico. Here Comes Calico is the name of our comic book series, and Calico is the name of the anti-hero that goes after those a-holes with extreme justice, those, of course, who abuse and kill animals. So I really think you're going to love this series. As long as you're over 13, I think you're going to really enjoy it. Street Math is not for kids. It is for mature for adults, but the rest of the series is rated T 13 and up. You can get them on our website, sigmacomics.com. Here are our comic books. We also have trade paperbacks. We have manga. We have merch. And right now on Kickstarter, our latest trade paperback. It's called Calico Unwanted Men. This one is a great one. Again, ages 13 and up. Really intense. You could actually see some of the testimonials we're getting from legendary creators here. And all you have to do is go to Kickstarter.com, and you can get all the books there on Kickstarter, and you're going to get all these great goodies as well. That's the benefit of ordering from Kickstarter. And not only do you get the books, but you get other great things like posters, stickers, and all these other Calico goodies. And of course, you can download the first chapter right there on Kickstarter.com. All you have to do is go to Kickstarter.com, type in Calico Unwanted Men, and it'll take you right to that Kickstarter page where you could pre-order the book and a bunch of other books in the entire series, as well as watch the trailer as well. All right, so what am I reading? That's the question. I get it quite a few times when I'm on the road on the convention scene, and I'm going to tell you what I'm reading. I'm going to tell you what's on the bedside table there on the nightstand, and this is what I'm reading right now, starting with Sin City, Frank Miller. Okay, this one is my favorite, my favorite independent project from Frank Miller. It's called The Hard Goodbye. It's the very first arc in the Sin City graphic novel series. And it follows the brutal, revenge-driven quest of the hulking protagonist Marv after he's framed for the murder of a woman he loves. Mind you, he just met this woman, and but the woman gave him something that he hasn't had in a very long time. And it does something inside of him that it really compels him to pursue justice for this woman. Okay, the woman, I don't want to ruin it, but something happens to the woman right away in the beginning of the story. And, Marv decides, hey, you know what? I'm gonna see this through. I'm gonna get some justice for this woman. And that's exactly what he does. And let me tell you, it's an understatement. And it really shows you Frank Miller unbound. Think about this. He's writing for Marvel and DC, and he has to act within these guidelines. Remember, there's a code enforced in comics, right? So there are certain things that Frank Miller would like to do working for the big two in the 80s that he simply can't because he's working for these companies. Well, that goes right out the door, right out the window with Sin City. And it gives us a full, raw view of the true talent that this man has. And you say to yourself, well, does extreme violence really equate to talent? And that's not the framing. That's not the correct framing. It's the fact that your creativity is not confined, right? You're getting the artist at his or her purest moment where they can express themselves without any type of confinement. And that's really what I mean. And, this story is a perfect example of that. I mean, you're talking about a situation where you've got a guy, brand new creation, by the way, Marv, and a wonderful protagonist here. This guy's a big, tough dude, Okay, but he's morally driven to seek vengeance. Okay, and it really goes deep into emotions and morality, and then of course the setting. I mean, the corrupt, depraved city that is Sin City. You have a love story really taking place, and it's pretty raw. You know, it's like exposing a deep wound, and you have all this bacteria all around you. It's pretty intense. Right. So I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't want to ruin it for you if you haven't read. Of course, this story is not new, but listen, there are people who are picking up books all the time that they haven't read them. So I'm the type of person who just likes to give you just a general overview. The fact of the matter is, this is most certainly a crime noir type book. It's black and white art inside, wonderfully stylized. Um, by Frank Miller. Just a wonderful. You know, I think I say something about Frank Miller. I think he, more than any other artist that I've seen at least, truly understands light on the page. I really think this guy's a master of light, and I think that that's really the base of his, the foundation of his unique style is the fact that this man understands black and white. He understands light on a black and white page. And it comes through in an extremely creative way. And that's what gives him, in my opinion, his raw, just rugged style. And he's definitely up there for me. He's probably, well, without a doubt, he's my favorite writer. And I'm certainly inspired by him in the stories that I create. I wish I could draw the way he does. You know, I actually can draw. And I started the Calico series by doing storyboards and providing them to the artists. So just like Mike Barron used to do, of course, another legendary creator, he used to storyboard everything and hand it to the artists. I used to do the same thing. I don't do it anymore, but I do have an arts background. I did go to art school, so we'll see. All right, next up, Sacred Creatures. This is an independent project on Image, and it has one of my favorite creators of all time and my favorite person in comics, Klaus Janson. You know, we just talked about Frank Miller. Um, Klaus Janson is Frank Miller's partner, long-term partner on a multitude of projects. I mean, they worked on the seminal Daredevil series when Frank Miller joined the Daredevil team. Mind you, Klaus Janson was already on Daredevil. He had been on the title for 4 years. And when Frank Miller joined the team, uh, that was really the first time that this pair got together and made magic. And boy, did they make magic on Daredevil. Seminal Daredevil work, and frankly, this is a title that was on its way out. My understanding is it was about to be canceled, and that the pair of Frank Miller and Klaus Janson really knocked it out of the park. You know, I don't think Klaus Janson gets enough credit. He's, in my view, the best inker ever in comics. He's someone that can work with pretty much any artist and make that artist exceedingly better. He's just that good. I don't even think good is the word. I think he's great. And here his here is his project with a creator by the name of Pablo Raimondi. It's called Sacred Creatures. It's a comic book series released by Image. What you're seeing here. Oh, I forgot to show you my my copy of. I forgot. It's a little late. I forgot to show you my copy of Sin City here. Hard to buy. This is my copy of Sacred Creatures. Um, I made a note to show the actual books because these are the actual books I have right next to my bed that I read pretty much every night. So anyway, this was published by Image. That's the graphic novel. I'm waiting for the second one. I understand that they're going to begin working on the second trade paperback. I do prefer the trade paperbacks over the comics. And again, this is the team of Klaus Janson and Pablo Raimondi. Both of them are writing and doing art on this book. Very creative and unique way to approach this. Uh, Basically, it follows college graduate Josh Miller as he gets caught in a conspiracy involving supernatural forces. That's what we're dealing with here. And, the first volume introduces some characters here. And, again, the genre is supernatural, conspiracy, urban fantasy. And that's really what it is. The guy, Josh Miller, he gets entangled in the conflict between the supernatural forces and maintaining the world's balance. It's a really interesting story. Um, and I'm very much enjoying it. And I look forward to the second book, Sacred Creatures 2, as I take a swig of my Calico milk. Oh, always good, never disappoints. Let's move on to the next one. Geiger. Folks, if you have not heard of Ghost Machine and you're a fan of comics, you really need to do yourself a favor and go to your local comic book shop. Do a search there in Google and ask the comic book shop owner about titles from Ghost Machine. Ghost Machine is a new imprint, and these characters, or I should say, these creators, include people like Gary Frank, Jeff Johns, a gentleman by the name of Brad Anderson, and another individual with the last name Lay. On this particular book, Geiger, what a team they put together here. This is a great story. Okay, it's set in the years after a nuclear war ravaged the planet. The desperate outlaws battle for survival in a world of radioactive chaos. Uh, Out past the poison wasteland lives a man even the night crawlers and organ people fear. Those are individuals from the story. And his name is Joe Glow, and others call him the Meltdown Man. But his name is Geiger. Right? And this story here, this is the trade. It collects Geiger 1 through 6. This is the trade paperback. And again, I do prefer the trades. It gives me quite a bit of story for a great price. And it's nice to have something like this near the bed, because the truth is that if something is very good, you're just going to devour the first, couple of issues, i.e., chapters in the book. And it's always nice to have the trade, and that's why I do prefer them. Right? So, Geiger, that's what I have. That's another book I have. Bedside table there. Ghost Machine. They do have other titles, including Hyde Street, Redcoat, Brook Exodus. That's a title I'm hearing a lot about. Redcoat and Rook Exodus. Those are the two I'm really hearing a lot about. And also Hyde Street. I did pick up Hyde Street. It wasn't really for me, but definitely Geiger is something that is going to keep there by the night table there. Well, I mean, what more could I say here? This is the second book, second Frank Miller book in the series. And frankly, this is my favorite Batman story. It's called Batman Year One. All right. This started as a 4 issue, or I should say it was. Didn't start as it is a 4 issue series that was published back in '87. It's Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli, two legends in the game. Frank Miller with his gritty writing and art style, and David Mazzucchelli with his very simple lines that are very powerful and dictate the action on the page. True master of the art of cartooning. So this one here serves as a rounded and gritty retelling of Bruce Wayne's first year as Batman and James Gordon's arrival at the corrupt Gotham City Police Department. What a story, folks. Again, my favorite Batman story of all time. I read this and I was in awe. I just kept doing this, okay, turning pages. Frank Miller, really just a truly captivating comic book writer, like no one else. I think in modern times, today, who's active? Well, he's active too, by the way. He's doing quite a bit of work. I think a lot of what he's doing that I've seen at least recently have been covers, but Frank's still active. But people like Robert Kirkman, page turn, Jeff Johns, page turn, Scott Snyder, page turn. Okay, these are people who, when I pick up their books, my fingers are moving, and that's my goal as a writer. I always want to make sure that the reader is moving their fingers. I want them doing this. Okay, and I've been accused of doing that as well by my readers, and I'm very happy with those accusations. Uh, so, this book has a very noir atmosphere, a very realistic portrayal of a young and inexperienced Batman who often makes mistakes. It's not perfect. He's not the Batman you and I know that plans these missions and they just come off beautifully, regardless of the kind of obstacles he encounters, because he's such an excellent planner and an excellent fighter. Well, that's not the case here in this book, right? The guy's making mistakes. He's facing street level criminals instead of the traditional supervillains, and he's still winding up on the ground. So great story here by Frank Miller. I think this is frankly his best story. That's according to me, of course, is my opinion. But wow, what a masterclass in comic book storytelling. Beautiful book, and that I don't actually think that's ever going to leave my nightstand, because the truth is that this is very inspirational for me in the creation of Calico. Calico is I don't want to say he's in a perpetual year one situation, but he's just not anywhere near as accomplished a tactician as Batman. Right? He does have the great suit that is Hector Gill in the Calico suit, but he's not as smart. He doesn't come from these resources. He doesn't have that base that Bruce Wayne has. He's just a guy from the Bronx who knows how to fight. And he has to learn a lot of what he does on the go. Although he does have some good fighting discipline and background, he's been trained that way very well since he was a kid. He still lacks quite a bit. And this raw, rugged style and format that Miller presents in Batman Year One is a constant fixture in the story of Calico. He's just always raw and rugged. So I really enjoy this, and I'm most certainly inspired by both Frank Miller and Mazzucchelli in Here Comes Calico. Next up is the pair again, Frank Miller and Mazzucchelli, this time on Born Again. What a great story. If the previous book was an influence to Here Comes Calico, this one's an even stronger influence. Okay, this is Daredevil Born Again. This is from '86, and the pair of Miller and Mazzucchelli getting together. And, it follows a Kingpin's systematic destruction of Matt Murdock, his life, after his identity is sold by Karen Page. Karen Page is a fixture of the Daredevil story. She's somebody who has a relationship with Matt Murdock, and it's it's an on and off situation, but she plays a central component in his life, right? And this situation forces broken Matt Murdock to endure a desperate faith-driven rebirth, and that's really what this is. I mean, just to sum it up, Karen Page, struggling with her addictions, sells Daredevil secrets, right? His secret identity for a drug fix, right? And that, of course, reaches the Kingpin, and of course, all hell ensues because the Kingpin runs the streets in New York City, right? So, what a great story, truly compelling, and Netflix is running it as a series, real action series on Netflix there. All right, and I think they're entering season 2, if I'm not mistaken, to great acclaim. So that's what I have on the night table there. Born Again. And next up is Gogol 13. How to take notice. Wait. Gogol 13, this particular book is called 1 Minute Past Midnight. Takao Saito, great inspiration. This is actually a huge inspiration for Hector Gill of Calico. I came across Gogol 13 as a teenager. Yes, as a teenager. And I think the first time I saw this was actually as an anime. I saw The Profession, Gogol 13, The Profession. And it was completely captivating. This guy's a hitman, and he always gets his man. I'm like, this guy's a bad mofo. That's straight up what he is. And ever since I saw this and I started picking up the manga, I was just immersed in the world of Gogol 13. This guy, again, I'll say it again, this is one bad mofo. He's basically a not just any assassin, but really the best there is. All right, Duke Togo. All right, this particular book, 1 Minute Past Midnight, he's hired to kill an ex-CIA agent on death row. All right, this one here was released by Viz Media, and it basically is inspired by a story regarding a conspiracy behind the assassination attempt of John Paul II back in 81. Right, this is some hardcore stuff, folks. Right, definitely not for the little ones. And when I first released Here Comes Calico, issue 1, back in December of 2020, this is probably my biggest inspiration right here. Duke Togo. This guy is just going out and bringing these people to justice. All right. And if you actually look at Hector Gill, his face and his size and mannerisms, he looks similar to Duke Togo, and that's by design. It's funny. I told when I created the Calico. All right. Of course, I was the first artist. I created the Calico, Hector Gill, all of the Sigma Comics characters I create. I actually draw them out, copyright, right? When I was describing it to Javier Orovich, the first artist on Here Comes Calico, I showed him my drawings and I gave him a few extra variables. I told him, listen, this is my main inspiration, Duke Togo here, and visually, of course, for Hector Gill. And, also a character by the name of Nico, which is actually a video game character from the Grand Theft Auto series, and myself. I said, Javier, imagine a character that blends Duke Togo, Nico from Grand Theft Auto, and me as a prize fighter together. That is Hector Gill. And of course, I gave him my artwork for Hector Gill. And that's really the basis creatively, visually speaking. And really the basis, but where we draw inspiration, I should say, right? So I think this has always been a central figure in my sort of idea for what Hector looks like, and I have it at my bedside table. Very inspirational story. 13. I have some manga, and admittedly, this one is really more for the art. I really enjoy the artwork of this team here, Kazu Koike and artist Gozeki Kojima. Kojima does a fantastic job on this manga. Wow. And manga very much inspires Here Comes Calico. Of course, we also have a manga series. So that's why this is on the bedside table there. And I always reach for it and am inspired to create. I'm always sketching as well. And the fact is that possibly you might see some artwork from yours truly very soon in this series. We will see. But these are the types of books I keep that do get me inspired to do that and to always stay in that artistic mindset. This was a gift that was given to me by someone very close to me. And I've always wanted to read it. And when I received it as a gift, I was very thankful because, I've read so many things about this book. And I'm going to read sort of the overview and synopsis here. Love in the time of cholera. El amor en el tiempo de cólera is how you'd say it in Spanish. This, of course, is Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and it's inspired by his parents' love story that chronicles a lifelong, unrequited love of Florentino Ariza for Fermina Daza, who marries another man, Dr. Juvenal Urbino, but is reunited with Florentine after the husband's death, after over 50 years. Wow. Uh, this one, when I received this as a gift, I was sort of taken aback by this. And I asked the giver of the gift why this was gifted to me. And I don't think I ever received a finite answer. It's a very nebulous answer. But this is it's for me in particular. This one hit close to home because there are some things that hit in my personal life. Set in a Caribbean port city. That's another thing there that hits to home to me as a Caribbean. This novel uses the literal and metaphoric backdrop of cholera to explore themes of love, aging, death, and memory, blending realistic details with magical realism. You know, I would stop and say something, but I'm going to keep reading because there's some important things there. But anyway, Florentino Ariza pledges his love for Fermina Daza as a young man, but she rejects him for the more socially advantageous Dr. Urbino. Florentino spends decades waiting, having numerous affairs, while remaining devoted to Fermina in his heart until he finally gets his chance to be with her in old age. Wow. I mean, I don't want to get too personal, but let's just say that hits home, very much hits home for me. Very, 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 very much. I'm going to keep my personal story out of it, but I never knew that this story was about this. And again, I've always wanted to read this book because I mean, I've heard about this book since I was in school, and it's just nonstop. And just things got in the way, fighting, training, school, work, and all these other things. And I never got a chance to read it. And finally, again, I was gifted this book by someone. And it again, I'll say it again, it really, really hits home. I will say this, though, as I continue reading the synopsis. This book, of course, exploring various forms of love, romantic, marital, platonic, and the endurance of love over time, aging, and the contrast between idealized love and the realities of marriage. This is important. Of course, the setting being in the Caribbean, in the port of, likely something like Cartagena or Barranquilla in Colombia. But, and this is here's the kicker. It's the style of Garcia Marquez with his signature magical realism with fantastical elements woven into a realistic narrative and a fluid, non-linear dominion. And that's the tragedy for me because, you're hearing all of this fantastical components and mysticism and fantasy and fluid narrative and all these things. You simply wouldn't be able to do this in today's society where we live because you basically it would be akin to harassment and stalking and all these ugly terms that really have nothing to do with love and how it was affected in times past, and not only times past but in other cultures. At least in this American society, these are all uh, litigious matters here when you deal with love in that way. Okay, that's the world we live in now. You cannot any longer love this way. You can't love a woman this way. You'll be arrested. It's really tragic that we live in a time that disallows for the natural execution, the natural uh, aspects of love. How is love affected truly and naturally? You can no longer do this in today's society. Oh no, no, you can't. continue persisting with uh, um, these facets of love. Again, even though they're natural, that's for me is the true tragedy. You simply cannot love someone the way the protagonist here loves Fermina. You simply can't. And in my view, that is a true tragedy. And it's a massive, it is a magnificent fault of the society we live in here, at least here in America. Uh, and that's all I'll say about that. Okay, I'm going to leave myself out of this. The next book I have is Grace. This is a wonderful indie book that you need to have. You may not know about it, but now you do. It's called Grace. It's by the team at Inland Blue Comics. This is a small independent publisher. Folks, please support your indies. We cannot do it without you. And there's just a wonderful amount of creativity coming out of the indies. Grace is the flagship indie book from Inland Blue. It's the team of Chris Thayer, C.W. Thayer, and Ron Miltz, both out of Southern California. These are true creative geniuses, in my opinion. They really have done a great job on this book. I love this book. And I did enjoy it right from the beginning, right from issue one. The story follows a young woman by the name of Grace who dies in the very first pages of issue one. Before moving on, she's approached by a heavenly entity named Azrael, who offers her a deal. She can return to her life if she agrees to serve as a soul deliverer. Her mission is to track down and dispatch irredeemable individuals whose existence upsets the world's balance, sending them to their final judgment. Wow. Folks, this is a knockout book. It really is. There are extremely few indies out there that really just hit you right in the gut and grab your attention and captivate you. And again, do this, page turners. There it is, folks. First, C.W. Thayer and Ron Miltz just hitting it out of the park with this one. Boy, did they put every inch of their weight behind this one, this fastball. And I think they have a home run with this series. Frankly, I think this is the best thing out there. Of course, next to Calico, of course. I really don't think there's any competition, frankly. I think these are, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think these are the two best indie books on the convention circuit right now. Grace and Calico. All right, here comes Calico. Those are the two best indie books, hands down, that you're going to get at the conventions, and they're really the best prices too. Right, this team is up to 20 issues. I believe they have 4 or 5 trades collected in these 20 issues, and you can get this book directly from Inland Blue. Just go to Inland Blue Comics on Google, and you'll go to their website. I'm not exactly sure what their URL is. I don't know if it's ibcomics.com or inlandbluecomics.com, but just do a search on Google and for Inland Blue Comics, and the first link, of course, will be their website, and you can get Grace from there. It's worth every single penny, folks. You need to get this as soon as possible. I've got that on my bedside table there. And finally, this is it, the last one, Batman, another Batman book. This one here is with Kurt Busiek and Jean-Paul Leon, who tragically passed away. Wonderful noir artist. Pretty sure this came out in the late 20 teens. I believe it was 2017 or something like that. And this is the spiritual successor to Busiek's Superman Secret Identity, both reimagining the Batman mythos by exploring the dark emotions driving Bruce Wayne and presenting a unique take on the legend with a focus on grief, rage, that transforms him into the Dark Knight. And again, I mentioned the team of Busiek and Leon. What a great job. I'm a big fan of the latter with his solid blacks. Probably one of the best noir artists with that solid black style. Very thick lines, Really enjoy the way this man puts ink on the page, or did, because he unfortunately passed. But this book does explore the origins of Batman through a lens of intense grief and rage, making him the literal creature born from the darkness. So, pretty interesting story, told from a fan's perspective, and really enjoy this one. And again, this one is one of those where I keep it more for the art, because I am inspired by the solid black lines of people like Leon, people like Frank Miller. Probably the biggest inspiration for me aesthetically is Miller. Not only do I enjoy Miller's writing style, and frankly, I would say my writing style is very much similar to his. Very rough, sort of gritty style. But I also strive to draw like him, right? Um, that is how I do draw. And I think this is really one of the reasons why I have this book. But that's what I have, folks. I know this was a long one, and I'll leave it with the book that I will be reading very soon, and the one that I am most anticipating. I can't wait to get Calico Unwanted Men in my hands. You can get it in your hands around the same time that I will, by doing the pre-order on Kickstarter. It's not available right now, but it is available to pre-order on Kickstarter, and you can pre-order it today. All you need to do is go to Kickstarter.com and type in Calico Unwanted Men, and you'll be very easily transported to the Calico Unwanted Men page, where you can watch a trailer video of the book, along with seeing these great testimonials, and you can download chapter 1, folks. Who lets you do that? You can download the entire chapter, and first chapter and the intro to the book, absolutely free, right on this Kickstarter page. Again, Kickstarter.com, type in Calico Unwanted Men. I will leave you there, and thank you again for watching. Keep on fighting for animals.